You Illawarra! Illawarra! And people don't believe in Wollongong, doubt us all year. You better start believing because we'll be back next year.
Ball driving. 7 seconds left. He pulls the trigger. Big shot taker. Big shot maker. Tyler Harvey enormous.
Yes, welcome back to the Hawks Hangout, proudly presented by the kind folks over at Principal Brewing and Enable You Too. Corey, we are back. Intercontinental Cup, kind of already finished. We've got a game this afternoon, playing for 5th and 6th. The boys have had 2 absolutely quality hitouts. How have we gone so far?
Mate, well, just to start, let's talk about what we're going to talk about this episode. So we're going to really look at the roster additions to complete our roster for this upcoming season. We're going to look at the pros and cons of our roster for this season. We're going to again talk about the Singapore Intercontinental Cup. Then we're going to look at the NBL so far. There's been about 4 games so far this season, see how teams are shaping up. And then we're going to do our Game 1 preview versus the mighty Tassie Jack Jumpers. So let's get started, mate. So let's look at these roster additions that the Hawks have added. So we added Biwali Bayles as our last local. Really like that. And also we added Jonah Antonio for our injury replacement player. Both, I think, great pickups this late into the preseason. I was worried about the quality of player we may be able to pick up, but these are 2 great additions in my opinion. I'm a huge fan of Biwali Bayles. I know a lot of people have doubts on him. I just love the fact that he is so confident in his own abilities. When he's on the court, he just doesn't like crap himself. He just knows, give me the ball. I know what I can do, and I'll get the job done. He plays with passion. He plays with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I just really like that addition. And Jonah as well can shoot the hell out of the ball. Unfortunately, we haven't really seen it too much so far in Singapore, but he can really shoot the hell out of the ball, and that's probably one of our weaknesses. So I think they're 2 great additions. What about you?
Yeah, the signing of Biwali has been absolutely huge for the club. Obviously, not being able to take Davo over there due to injury, allowing Jonah to play, falling under that injury replacement rule. Biwali has just come out and he is absolutely taken the league by storm once again, playing with something that he has to prove. And this is the player that we kind of really needed for the club, because as much as we already have something to prove, we've got to come back. We've got to, be the defending champions. He's coming in to a team as a defending champion when everyone wrote him off from the NBL, and he's playing with such high tenacity. He looked like he actually wasn't phased at all by being over there. The composure of the dude was absolutely electric and incredible. And stay tuned, because we will be getting him on shortly just to talk about how he's, adapted to the club so far and coming back into the league after a few professional stints here and there and bouncing around from team to team in the league, because his story is absolutely incredible. And the fact that he's back in the Illawarra alongside Redfern brother Davo Hickey, the backcourt of them alone is going to be absolutely dynamic and dangerous this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you've got Jonah Antonio, which, as you said, Corey, he can shoot the ball.
Yeah.
He is young. He's almost like a Paddy Lancaster type of player, where he's built, he's stocky, he's a little bit more of that dynamic point guard that we saw in Trey Kell, but can shoot, can take it to the rack, can do all of these things, but with much more intensity and much more grit and much more passion than what other players you would normally see in that injury replacement role. Again, it's another player who has bounced around from team to team, had a kind of a little run there last year with Cairns Taipans, but we didn't really get to see the best of him as he was behind some high quality players up there. But now he's just coming into a system where he's really going to flourish if a player is out and he gets that opportunity to come in and play. I think he's been a great signing, and they're 2 really, really underrated signings for the club so far.
Yeah, I think with Jonah, the big thing is when you have an injury replacement player, sometimes they don't have much NBL experience. So to get a guy who was in the rotation for Cairns, there was obviously times when he was getting some minutes and then a bit of a lack of minutes, was pretty inconsistent with his minutes. But he's been there and done that. He knows how the league runs. His ability to shoot is huge. But back to Biwali, like you said, he just knows he belongs, and having that confidence and knowing that he can do it. And all reports, and this has come from even when he was back in the NBL before, he's just like a gym rat. Like he wins every fitness. Like he smashes beep tests. He's like, when they have scrimmages, he dominates. Like he's not scared. Like he'll probably be playing in that second unit against like the starting 5 of the Hawks. And from all reports, he's like dominating these practices. So he knows he belongs, and that's what you want in that last local player. If he gets his chance, you don't want him to be like, oh God, I'm nervous because every second I'm on the court, I'm getting judged. He's just like, I know I'm supposed to be here. I'll just show you what I can do. And you saw it. We'll talk a little bit more about it in Singapore. His defense tenacity, like as an on-ball defender, is incredible. Like he gets up and in. He's not scared to like maybe give a little push and shove there. He might get some fouls here and there, but you know what? Like make the other player know that you're there. Like make it really challenging for that guard. So I'm pretty sure he's going to get some minutes on some smaller guards. Like I'm pretty confident he'll probably go head to head with Tiger a little bit when they have that Tassie matchup. But yeah, super happy with those rounding out the rosters. But let's now look at the pros and cons of our whole roster. What we think are some of the things that may cost us in games, and some of the things that are going to put us in good stead. So let's start with the cons first, mate, so we can finish on a
the high notes.
So I'll say a couple of things that I think that I've seen in our roster that I think we may struggle with a little bit with. I think we do lack a little bit of 3-point shooting. Last year we were blessed with so many options, and that allowed Tyler Harvey to get more open opportunities because we had so many threats on the perimeter. Unfortunately, this year I think we are struggling in that area. Like Tyler seems to be the guy who is our only real consistent 3-point shooter, and I felt like he may be the only guy I could be confident in saying will hit multiple 3-pointers in any game. I know we've got other guys who can hit the 3, but I just wouldn't be confident saying, oh, that guy's going to hit 2+ 3s every game. Like even Toddy, has been looked like he's struggling a little bit. And I know his NBL 1 form was great, but in Singapore he's been struggling a little bit with that 3-point shot. He had at least 3 opportunities last night where he, in big moments, could have good looks too, could have put us in a position where we become like a chance to win that game, and unfortunately missed those. But obviously his career shows he's a great 3-point shooter. So I'm happy to say that we've got Tyler and Toddy. But outside that, I think the rest of our 3-point shooters are probably inconsistent at best or streaky. So I think that is probably one of the cons. Free throws also. Last night, again, it was last season, one of our big things was free throw shooting. Especially at the end of games, you can't leave points out there. And especially when you're missing a bunch, it really hurts. And I just think like at this stage, and I know it's really early and we haven't seen Hickey really involved in this team other than like a little bit in the blitz. He missed the gap. He didn't play much against Perth either. That we just really lack that consistent, reliable performer across the board. Like Harvey seems to be the guy, and he'd be the guy I'm saying, consistently he's going to give us, what you're going to get from him. Everyone else, at this stage, I wouldn't be saying like, yes, that they're going to give us this every single game. So I think that is probably a kind of, you got anything else, mate?
Yeah, look, the playmaking depth for me is the real big killer here. Obviously, not being able to have Davo Hickey there, he's been that starting role. He's been elevated to that starting role. Obviously, last game, we didn't get to see Jonah Bolden play. Game before that, it was Harry Frawling not being able to play. Instead, you've had someone like a Luka Yates being able to come in, get some quality minutes in there. And it's really weird because you see all of this social media backlash against the team. Oh, they're washed, they're done. We can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this, all the rest of it. But what most people are going to realize is they didn't have a full team heading down to the Blitz. We were still without most of our locals. We were still without McGee. We ended up playing half of a game without Harvey and without Hickey down at the Blitz as well. And now we've come over to Singapore and we're still without Hickey. So we still don't even have a full roster. Most of our players weren't even playing the proper minutes and the proper rotations that they were supposed to be playing. This is technically our blitz. Us going over there is a massive opportunity for us to go over there and get some extra reps in, but we're not really there to win it. Winning it, yeah, absolutely. It could have been great. We could have said we're world champions. We're not like the NBA going, oh yeah, we're world champions, but it's only America. We could have actually gone out and gone, we are the world champions. Look at us go. But for us, we're playing a 5th and 6th game this afternoon at 3 o'clock or whatever it is. 5th or 6th in the world, we'll still take that. I'll still absolutely take that any day of the week, considering we're going through a massive roster overhaul, signed all of the possible J's that you could possibly sign with JaVale, Ja'Cory, Jonah Bolden, Jonah Antonio.
And didn't we finish 5th in the nation in the NBL1? So maybe if we win
5
today,
and 5.
we could get the 5 and 5. So
we'll take it.
Do you think, is there any other anything that stands out as a con with that? The playmaking, yeah, I do tend to agree that, but I think Hickey will help in that area. So I think, yeah, looking at the cons overall, probably free throw shooting, 3-point shooting, and maybe having that consistent players across the board like we had last year maybe seems not as much, and a little bit of playmaking would probably be our cons. But let's look at the pros. What are the positives of this lineup? So I'll start and I'll say I think our interior defense. I think McGee is going to be a problem for teams. We saw the G League weren't too keen to go inside. Neither were Flamengo, but they shot the ball really well and shot the ball from 3, and we didn't. So that's what probably got them the victories. But not many teams like to go inside. And add Jonah Bolden to that as well. Peatling's a really strong interior defender as well. So I think interior defense is definitely improved, and rebounding. We look a really strong rebounding team. JaVale McGee and Bolden look like they could be 10 plus rebound sort of guys, which is really good, probably better than what we had last year. Next pro for me would be Tyler Harvey. He looks like he's in vintage form, shooting at super efficiently, again, making those really tough shots, big shot taker, big shot maker sort of thing. He had a couple already. He's looking the good. So that's, and if he can get that citizenship and still play at this level, that's only a positive for this team moving forward. And my last positive for me, or last pro, would be the coaching. I know there's been, looking in the preseason, Joel's done a lot of the coaching too, but I do rate that. And I love the fact that Tatum trusts his assistants. I think that's a big thing and a really important thing. But we just seem, and I don't want to put the kiss of death on it, over a long period of time, we just don't seem to get flogged. So we're in games. And I know even though we've struggled in recent times in close games, and that's shown in the Intercontinental Cup as well, but even if we're not playing well, we're still in games. And so that's got to be a positive for me. And it's very rare that we seem to lose back-to-back games. I know we've just lost 2 in a row Intercontinental Cup, but I think last season that only happened once. And so if we can do that this season and not go on a big losing streak, all right, and make ourselves competitive, we're going to be in and around and be in that finals race. But it's going to be a really tough season, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. But what else have you got for pros?
I think that double-headed monster coming down into the paint, as you said, Corey, you've got Jonah Bolden and JaVale McGee in there, both of which have both got NBA experience and NBA leadership, veteranship, whatever you want to call it. But they're both averaging a double-double already in this league. Yeah, add also the blocks that you've been seeing JaVale get. He's getting absolutely up. His hands almost at the top of the backboard. It's insane what this guy can do, and he's 37. He looks a little bit slow on the transition game, which I feel like that's him just working his way back up after being sick and all the rest of it. However, I really believe that his veteran presence plus Jonah Bolden's versatility is really going to make it a problem for all of these other teams, and is really going to allow Tyler Harvey to play off-ball screens and all the rest of it. And we've already started to see it. That dude was on absolute fire, scoring 32 in last game. And then the first game, I think he finished the game with about 24 as well. So he's had some quality games so far. And even as you said, if he gets that citizenship and we can look for another high-quality import and they slot in there, that's really going to push this team over the top. But for me, that wing depth and again the bench depth as well, like Blanchfield, Greeter, Swakala Bullock, Mason, whoever else we've got on the bench. We'll have Biwali on the bench. We'll have J-Rock on the bench. Like this team is another team that every single position is going about 3 deep every single time. The club has gone out and they've gone, okay, continuity and culture over absolutely everything else. We don't care about signing a Bryce Cotton. We don't care about signing a Kendrick Davis. We want continuity and culture. Most guys already know Tatum's system and Tatum's play style. It's why you've seen someone like a Ja'Cory McLaughlin, who's a third string import. Let's be real. He's probably not going to get much game time. Or if he does, it's going to be filler minutes to fill out spots where he might be playing the 2, he might be playing the 3, or he might be playing the 1. It just depends on what kind of system that they want to go for and what they need. But that's the style of play that he can play and used to be playing under Tatum. But there's no scrambling for last-minute imports or all the rest of it for this team because they're great. They're great so far. And as you said, Corey, like we have not been blown out in a single game. We lost by 9 in the second game and we lost by 2 in overtime in the first game. We're in it in both games. It was more so just the fact that we just could not make shots. We couldn't buy them for the last of us. But also on the same point in time, all of these teams were taking 3-point shots and they were Hail Mary shots, most of them.
No, they were nailing them. That was a difference. But yeah, I agree with you. A definite pro would be our culture and chemistry of this team. They all seem to get on really well. It's not like it's just me mentality. It's a team mentality. And I think that's a real positive for this team. And I also think another positive is that we do have that little Sam Froling in our back pocket to come back. He'll bring a lot to the club when he comes back in. Just hope he can come back when there's still a decent amount of the season to go. I think that's a huge positive as well to add someone of that quality to our team. But let's look now at Singapore. So the Intercontinental Cup, the potential to be world champions. Unfortunately, we've missed that opportunity. But let's look at both of these games. Now, I felt in both of these games, a simple summary would be the fact that I thought we had a chance to win both games. I thought that we were pretty average, if I'm being brutally honest. Other than Harvey, I think Harvey was excellent, but we were inconsistent and pretty average throughout both games, but still had chances to win both games. And if I'm being honest, I think we probably should have won both games. We had chances in that first game, again, up 3. That's always those coaches have that battle. Do you foul and send them to the line so they can't hit a 3 to level it up, or do you let them shoot it? Well, we let them shoot it and he made it. Then it goes to overtime. We had our chances in overtime before they ran a nice little out of bounds play, got their main guy the ball who hit a nice little high banking shot to win it. So, but that was a game we probably could have won.
Yeah.
And then last night we didn't have Bolden, we didn't have Hickey, and we're playing G League United, who had some great players, and talking about potentially adding some imports. There was a couple of nice looking imports there who could shoot the hell out of it. I think it was Randall and there's a Shackleton or something.
Yeah.
There was a couple who I thought were pretty impressive. And I know Tatum does like to sign people who has seen play against him. He has that. That's a little bit of history of that. He did it with Days, and obviously Ja'Cory played with him in Indonesia. And so he likes to see guys in person rather than be like relying on someone else's scouting.
Yeah.
So who knows? We would be nice to see a couple of those guys who tore us up last night, but we could have won that game as well. Like, we had opportunities. Again, I said earlier that Toddy had 3 shots that were at key moments in the game that could have either leveled or cut the lead to like 1 basket. And we just really couldn't hit those shots at the key time. But again, we've got to say, Hickey's a huge out.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd almost go as far to say if Hickey played, we win both of those games. That's how close they were. And again, like, we played fairly average, not to our potential, and we could have won both games. That you got to look at that as a positive. It's disappointing to lose. It's always disappointing to lose. And again, it's disappointing to lose in close games because I feel like this season there's going to be more close games.
Yeah.
We don't have that powerful, like blowout, powerful shooting where we can blow teams away like we did last year. The games are going to be more of a grind and we're going to be in close games. So we've got to find that way of winning close. So I think overall, I think it's been a good experience. Like you said, they've used this as their blitz. They don't want to give too much away. They're playing a lot of other guys bigger minutes than they're probably going to play in the NBL. And in the end, we had 2 games. We didn't get blown out. Lost one in overtime by 2. Lost last night by 6. And we were in both games without our full strength team. So you got to take a positive out of that. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Game 1, absolute baptism of fire. You're looking at us scoring 82 points, but we were 33.8% from the field in total, and we were 17% from 3. Like, that's not the Hawks that you know and love. We usually sit at 30 to 40% from 3, and we're usually hitting, as we like to say, if we hit 8 to 10 per game, we're going to win a game. They hit, I think, maybe 3 in that game altogether out of the total amount that they had, and they still only lost by 2. I think that's absolutely incredible to have a terrible game shooting wise, but still only just lose a game. Our rebounding was absolutely huge. We had 53 rebounds that entire game. We fought on the glass. Jonah Bolden finished with 12 and 11 in that first game. So 12 points, 11 rebounds. And McGee had a double-double on a 10 flat, 10 points, 10 rebounds. They were absolutely huge. Harvey, 24 points, but he shot 4 from 16 from the field goal, but he absolutely lived at the free throw line. And that's huge for us. If he can create these shots on the inside, get fouled, and then end up going and, shooting a foul. He was 14 from 16 from the 3-point line. Not the 3-point line, from the free throw line. But 14 from 16. That was absolutely huge. The one downfall in that game, though, Corey, we only had 17 assists. The ball movement really, really stalled in that first game. There was a lot of ISO plays from a lot of different players.
And that was like last year we were one of the best assist teams in the league. But I'm going to put that down to Hickey not being there. He's probably our main playmaker. He has got that ability to get.
Oh, he averages 8 a game.
Yeah, to get to the bucket. Like, he was a triple-double threat every game. And he does have that ability. He's great in transition, but he also has the ability to get 2 feet in the paint and make great decisions and dish. Like, McGee's going to love playing with him. Bolden's going to love playing with him. So I'm going to say that is not necessarily going to be like the Hawks moving forward, but that is a worry. You want good basketball is when there's assists getting racked up, because the ball's getting moved. They're getting players good opportunities. It's not ISO basketball. I'm not a huge fan of it. So you do want those assists to be a little bit higher, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And then game 2, like a Harvey masterclass, we bounced back and we were 94 points on 52% field goal. I think that's a much better sitting position. We usually sit somewhere around that 60 to 70% in the NBL. And we translated it down, but you've also, as you said, missing players, not playing the full rotations that you would normally playing, and we're just adjusting to each other and how the play styles will be this year. But Harvey coming out, and he was 32 points. He was 11 of 16 shooting and 5 from 8 from 3 at a plus 28 efficiency.
Plus 28? Is that plus minus? He was
plus minus. He was a plus 28.
And we lost the game
by 6.
That's crazy. That goes to that is. I don't think I've ever seen that ever.
He was absolutely ridiculous last
night. When he's on the court,
plus 28.
We were plus 28 as a team.
Yep.
That is crazy.
Yep.
That's huge, and that efficiency is spectacular from Harvey.
It was just classic Tyler Harvey, knowing that, okay, you know what, it's back on me again, but here I am. Deal with it.
That's MVP.
Deal with it.
Type of stuff. Now, I've always said I don't necessarily want the Hawks to have the MVP, because I feel like if you want to win a championship, it's very rare that the team who wins a championship had the MVP from that season, because the MVP is someone who has to carry a team, and it's very hard to go through a championship when you're playing the same team. Coaches are so good, they make adjustments and they say, let's shut down this one guy and we're going to be a big chance of winning. So and in a series where you're seeing the same team, like, the coaching becomes even more important. But Harvey at this stage, like, if he keeps playing like this, he will be an MVP candidate, because if he has to carry the offense and carry the scoring and be that guy who the Hawks maybe most consistent and reliable guy, he will be in the MVP conversation if he keeps this form up, which has been spectacular. And in that second game, we did start really well. I think we're up 7-0 and we're looking really sharp and looking great. And then, like, again, the rotations weren't like what we're going to do in a normal game.
Yeah, not going to bring Luca on with
But
5 minutes left to go in the first quarter.
So that's
no.
like, but at the end of the day, like, we lost by 6, and McGee was 1 of 8 from the free throw line. It looks like he could be a walking cheeseburger. So teams could be Hungry Jacks, could be like handing out some, but we just got to get that right. Like, that can't happen. Like, 1 of 8 is just like, it's putrid. And it was at most of them were in the fourth quarter, and I think they realized, man, it's like a hack a Big Mac. It was like, let's like hack a shack. We're gonna call hack a Big Mac, because I'm concerned about it, because I watched the free throws and it wasn't like they were unlucky. They were like
quality misses.
They weren't pretty. So that needs to be sorted, because in close games, if it could come to the fact we need him on the court defensively. And if the coach goes, we can't afford to have him on because they're going to just keep fouling him and sending him to the line, that is going to be like an issue. And again, when Sam comes back, I wouldn't say he's a great free throw shooter as well. So it's gonna potentially cause some issues. Our big men aren't all great free throw shooters. Like, Bolden's pretty decent. Like, I would say Peatling's inconsistent. So that could be an issue. But again, you hit 3 or 4 of those free throws and the game's on.
Yeah.
Like,
yep. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of other players that were able to step up this game, vintage Blanchfield, golden boy, he lit up and he showed out. He finished with 16 points and 8 boards. Going back to his almost double-double form that he was doing in the NBL 1, he was like, right, I've had a game to adjust. I'm back in, and I'm playing how I'm playing.
He did well. Like, there's no doubt there was a little time in the game where he caught fire and he was just like hitting mid-range, hit a 3. But I was still going to go back to, I'm being overcritical, but there were 3 moments in the game where he had really good looks. And if you want this guy, you wanted someone to have the look, you'd probably go on Toddy or Harvey. And unfortunately, he missed all 3. Like, he hits one of those 3, and McGee hits 3 more free throws. We win the game. That's what it's going to be like this season. It's going to be like those tiny moments. You get them right, you'll come out on top. If you don't, unfortunately, you're going to be losing. And I know I'm being like overcritical, but like, that's Toddy. 16. It's hard to say like 16 and 8. But we need him. He's going to be big for us this year, probably bigger than he was last year, because we just need his 3-point shooting badly. Because I'm thinking, like I said before, our 2 most consistent 3-point shooters are going to be him and Harvey. I think Jacory looks inconsistent from the 3. And Biwali's not really known for his 3-pointers. Neither is Hickey. So we're going to have some like inconsistency. Gritter's not the most consistent from 3. Wani is efficient but doesn't shoot a great deal from 3. So I don't know.
But like, the thing is, like, you also then look at McGee and Jacory in that last game. Jacory finished with 12 points, 5 assists, and he was really steady on the offensive end. Yeah, okay, he missed a few shots, but he was also to create shots for Harvey. That's why he ended up playing the amount of minutes he played in that game. We didn't have Hickey in that game, and Biwali played in less minutes than he would have normally played in the NBL as well. But you look at McGee, finished with 13 points, 10 rebounds, a steal, and then he also had about 3 blocks in that as well. And the blocks were pivotal because we were able to come down and score off those blocks as well. For me, again, free throws, we were at 58% for the entirety of the game, and we're still only at 11 assists. You're missing about 7 or 8 of those from Davo. That takes us up to about 20 plus assists a game, which is where we were sitting at last season, which is where I dare say we will end up sitting at again this season. But looking forward, our cup takeaways, the Hawks DNA, it's there. Our effort, our rebounding, our defense, the tenacity, the hustle, it's translating globally. It is translating globally. It is there. The Hawks, baby steps.
The disappointing thing is, if we actually like had our full team, we could be like saying we're world champions. Because like, I even think last night, even I know Hickey's was told he's going to play both games, but you've had Bolden even last night.
Yeah,
I think just the addition of him as an extra big guy, I think that be enough to get us over line. Like McGee at times inside did look really good last night. He did some really good things. Obviously disappointing at the free throw line, but he did a lot of really good things. Talking about Ja'Cory J-Rock, I thought in the first game he went to the line under heavy pressure and nailed both free throws. Like I think sometimes free throw percentage can, but if you're hitting the big ones, to me, that's more important. And he stepped up and hit the two big ones.
Yeah.
So fourth quarter free throws, I think, are huge. And he stepped up and hit them both. But then unfortunately, we didn't foul and they sent it to overtime. So, but you can take a lot out of it. I felt like really, honestly, I watched the other two teams. I don't think they were any better than us.
No.
We could have probably won those games if we were full strength, and we could be playing for a world championship today. But instead, we're playing for 5th and 6th. So let's have a look. So the NBL season's already started. We're going to look at little comments on the game so far. I'm not going to go into too much depth, but just some comments on what we think's happening. Obviously, it's very early in the season. I know last episode we talked about really super early predictions. And you can sometimes get caught up in like, oh my God, this team's gone because one game to start the season, they didn't play great. But I don't think it's going to be like this. Season's going to be super tough. I want to stick to my prediction. I don't think any team's going to get over 20 wins. There's just too many good teams. And I think injuries are going to be key. If teams are losing a starter, it's going to be really tough to win. Like last year, we were really good at winning with players out. Like Kel missed some games and we still had the ability to win. I don't think it's going to be as easy this year. So let's have a look. The first game of the season was Melbourne v Tassie. My biggest takeaway there, I think Melbourne are the real deal. I know Sammy's not as high on them as I am, but I think, again, I said it's going to be hard to win without a starter, and they went away from home Tassie, which is not an easy place to win, without CG43, and got the job done. And Milton Doyle again showed that he is super clutch. I've always said he's great at the end of games, and I would have loved him to be at the Hawks because he didn't really have, I wouldn't have said he was spectacular throughout the game, but he was just spectacular at the end. He closed it out, he hit big shots, and they won the game. And super impressive. That was my biggest takeaway was Melbourne. I really like Edwards, the big guy. He has shot blocking ability. I just like their pieces. They haven't got many egos there. They just play hard and get the job done, walk off, say, win, done, don't carry on. Move on to the next one. I think they're going to be tough to beat. I think they're probably the only team I could confidently say are going to be a top 4 team or will definitely make like the top 6. Like any other team I could make an excuse. I just cannot see them missing out.
No. I think it was a really, really good game. They started off absolutely woeful, and then they started finding their form. Obviously, going across to Tasman and playing the Tasman Cup against Tassie, it's always going to be a tough battle no matter what for the first game of the season. They've obviously just come off losing back-to-back grand finals, so they're out here with a point to prove. Tassie, again, out here with a point to prove. They didn't make it last season after coming off a championship the season before that against Melbourne. So there was lots for them to prove. Milton Doyle, it's his first game back in Tasmania, playing for new colours as well. So there was lots of storylines to be looking at for this game. Obviously, they came away with it. We didn't see the flog take the court at all, so that was fantastic in my eyes. I think Melbourne is better off without him.
Oh, that's a huge call.
It's a huge call, but he's just a player that, okay, he's on when he's on, but also at the same time, they can win without him.
They can win without him, but that doesn't mean he's not going to help them. Like they're saying the Hawks, that's what I'm thinking. I'm looking at them a bit like what the Hawks were last year. We could have a player out and still come up with ways of winning. So I think that's really important for a team. So, yeah, let's move on to the next one. Brisbane v New Zealand. Now, I did say last episode, I think Brisbane, they're the only team since the top 6 has come in who hasn't made the top 6. So I'm thinking they're probably going to make it because. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I'll have to say this. They were impressive, but they are very reliant on their starters. So they will be a team if they do cop an injury to a starter who may struggle to get those wins. Like they had big numbers from Prather. Harrison was huge, 24 and 15 or something he had. But and obviously Liberty Freeman was Freeman Liberty was again outstanding. That massive dunk to just stamp his authority on the NBL in his first game was pretty impressive. Again, New Zealand coming off, I guess, a bit of the hangover of winning the Blitz. So that's why we talk about how like you can't really read into the Blitz too much. they were decent, but they just couldn't get the job done at home. But I think Brisbane, the biggest takeaway is Brisbane looked like to rely on about 6 players. They did start McDaniel, which I thought they were for that defensive presence, and then bringing Dukas off the bench for a bit of a spark, which doesn't surprise me. A bit like what the Hawks do with Wani. But they look like they're going to really rely heavily on those 6 guys. To push for a championship, they're going to have to get more out of like guys like Norton and Toe Smith-Milner. But impressive start from them. But I said I do think they have one of the better starting 5s in the competition. I'm going to stick with that, but they're going to rely heavily on them, and injuries could hurt them.
Yeah. A lot of people were saying before the game, "Nope, New Zealand's got this in the bag," and I was like, there is no way. There is no way that in any perfect world Brisbane would lose that game. They have quite arguably, besides, dare I say it, Adelaide and us, probably the best starting 5 in the competition. When you look at it, they have gone out and they've really gone across the board. Jalen Adams, Casey Prather, Toe Smith-Milner, Freeman Liberty, Harrison. Like, this team was absolutely stacked. And they proved it last night. They had an absolutely blinder of a game. It was fantastic to watch. They will be the team to watch this year. If they don't make the 6, I don't know what's happening with that team.
I think they will. But again, if they cop an injury, you can't see like the injuries are going to be huge in this NBL. So predictions can get thrown out the window. We're only making predictions based on like who they have now. But I think Harrison was probably a big story that like he was not really rated as highly I saw in like ratings of positions throughout the league. I was never a big fan of Harrison, but he won me over the last couple of seasons, and I think he's one of the premier big guys in the competition. He probably deserves a little bit more respect. Like I used to disrespect him, I'm not going to lie, but I'm the first to put my hand up when someone wins it, and he has like, and that's a great start to the season. 24-15. That's a pretty impressive start. Let's look at the next game. So this one, very interesting. This is the sort of game, SEM v Cairns, where people are going to be like, oh, Cairns got absolutely flogged, forget them, they're done. But I'll say this. Cairns didn't have Wartenberg, who is one of the premier big guys in the NBL. And they also didn't have their new import, who they just replaced recently. I was really high on the guy who they had, but visa complications. Ashton Haggins, I thought he was going to be really big. So he was one of the main reasons I actually had Cairns getting to a grand final. So again, early season predictions, we don't know. But the guy who they've brought in, Andrew Andrews, so good they named him twice. I don't know much about him, but looking at his like what he's done, he's played in Europe for some pretty big clubs. Like Panathinaikos is a pretty big club. He's 32 years old, so he's been around. He's a veteran. He didn't play either. So 2 starters. Like anyone in the league
taking out 2 starters,
like you're going to struggle massively. So I'm going to give them another chance. Wartenberg's going to be out for a while. That's going to be an issue. So like I feel for Cairns because it looked like it was lining up for him. I made most predictions based on the fact that they're going to have these guys on board, and already they've lost Wartenberg and an import who I thought was going to be there, and we haven't seen the new import yet. So it's hard, but I can't. The thing is that story of this is SEM. Like I did say that I think I had them falling out of the top 4 based on talent, but on coaching, I thought that could be up there because I see Josh King as a bit of what he's done, what Tatum did. He came in when the team was struggling, turned them around, got them to the last 4, very similar to what Tatum did in his first season. And then can he then take them to the next level and win them a championship? That's where, and he seems to have built a bit of a roster like the Hawks because they had like multiple, I'm talking, I think 6 or 7 or maybe 8 guys in double figures last night. I don't think anyone got 20. That's a very Hawks-like performance, and they racked up like 114 points. Very Hawks-like. So there are some correlations there with the Hawks last year, and who knows? Like SEM, like that. There's the blueprint of what the Hawks did. They've pretty much got it there. So again, first game of the season, they played a very undermanned Cairns team. So it's hard to really read into it, but impressive start for them.
And talking about our last game, and I'm telling you right now, A. Bryce will be in contention, and dare I say, A. Bryce will win MVP this year. It ain't Bryce Cotton. It's Bryce Hamilton. That dude is absolutely insane. He made that team just he made that team unreal.
He did.
And dare I say it,
He was a
because
difference in the game.
there is no way that you can stop him. Like that step back three over JLA. JLA is absolutely huge. He's 7 foot and he's making a three over the top of him to almost seal the game. Like that just does not happen in basketball in general at all.
He's a perfect size basketball player for the NBL.
Yeah.
Like he's got good size about him. He's got that ability to get to the bucket. He can shoot the three. Very Gary Clark kind of like. And those guys who can do everything and at that size are very, very strong in the NBL. And I'll go as far to say as I think he's at early stages, but better chance than Bryce Cotton of winning the MVP. And my reasoning is this. I'm not saying Bryce Cotton, I rate him. He's the best import ever to play. But his team is stacked. So there's going to be games where he doesn't need to do it. So very much like the Hawks last year.
Yeah.
If you're going to win the comp, you don't want Adelaide doesn't want Bryce to be MVP because that means Montrez hasn't done much and Cheatham hasn't done much. DJ hasn't done much. They haven't got contributions from those guys. I think they're going to get like different contributions and a guy's going to take them to a victory similar to what happened with the Hawks last year. They might get multiple guys in the NBL first team, but I don't think they're going to have the MVP. So that's why I think Cotton probably won't. While Bryce, Hamilton, Tassie don't look as strong depth-wise as they have previously. Again, very similar to Brisbane. They got a very strong starting five with Magne, Bannon, and their three imports. But outside of that, they do drop off a little bit. So then that's where you're looking. So, like, I think Brisbane and Tassie have the potential to have the MVP.
Oh, yeah.
So because they're the sort of guys who get the MVP, like guys who have to carry teams consistently. So, but super impressive. I actually gave Tassie no hope in that game. They played at home, then had to go over to Perth. Perth were ready to go, like, up for it. But very, very smart gamesmanship from a guy who I respect as a coach, Massley, is Scott Roth. Now, this guy comes out and goes, I don't even know who Perth have. I don't even know who's on their roster. I haven't watched them at all. It's like if Perth are thinking, this team just had to play the other day. Now they're coming over. They don't even know who we are. But this is going to be easy. But Scott Roth, I don't know. Like, I think he is not a huge fan of the powers of the NBL because he even said, I don't follow anything the NBL does. So I was sort of like, I don't think he's very, like, he takes that underdog status and he loves it and he rolls with it. I thought it was genius what he did there. He just, play those mind games and the NBL this year is going to be 1%ers. The one little thing, if they're thinking, don't even know who we are, like, we're just going to walk in and we're going to win this game easily. He's got in their heads. They've come up and they've, like, gone bang and said, yeah, we're here to play. We don't have to worry about you guys. We worry about ourselves. We get the job done. And I was genuinely shocked. And I was actually genuinely shocked how low scoring that game was.
Yeah.
75-72. Like JLA, again, I think he'll be a great 15 and 14. But they didn't get great contributions elsewhere. Mason Jones, again, like, he's only just come in, and I know it's hard, but he looked a little bit frustrated. He had a shot near the end, and he sort of, like, looked over at the bench saying, like you could read his mouth saying, give me the ball. Like, this is what I can do. And I guess it's obviously there's going to be a time of adjustment to make sure he gets in there and fits in with everyone else. But he did look a little bit frustrated. I'm sure he can definitely ball. And it's early stages in the season as well. But that was a very impressive win for Tassie.
Dare we say it? I don't see Perth being able to fix that from now on. I cannot see them working away. If Ben Henschel can't learn to curb his ego and be able to find Mason Jones the balls in situations like that, dare I say it, I can't see them making the 6. But Corey, that is an absolute wrap on our FIBA Intercontinental Cup journey. The Hawks roster is finalised. We are geared up, ready to go. History's been made. Our lessons have been learned. And we've got a squad that is quite ready to take the NBL 26 season by storm. But, mate, we've got
Game 1 preview, mate. But what do you reckon?
Game 1.
So game 1, this is going to be the game where we raise that second banner that we waited 24 years to see. It's going to be a really emotional and exciting game. But we're up against Tassie. And Tassie, 2 games into this NBL season, so they're ready to go. The Hawks have had their, like, obviously they're going to have 3 games under their belt from Singapore and a couple of games in the Blitz. But in those games, we haven't actually played with our actual proper squad. We haven't got into what our rotations are going to be like. So it's going to be very interesting. Tassie going to come in and spoil the celebration. Potentially could happen. It's going to be very interesting. Hopefully Hickey's available. There's going to be some really interesting matchups there. I think, again, if we can stop Bryce, I'm going to be interested to see who matches up against him. Who do you reckon is going to match up with him?
Biwali.
No, Biwali's too small for him. Like, Wani might be a chance. I think Biwali will be on Tiger. I think that'll be a good matchup, and Hickey as well. But I think that's going to be tough. Bryce is he's a real tough handful. I don't think we have a guy who's necessarily going to be able to do it. Wani might have to play big and try to guard him. Then there's Bolden as well. He's going to be a challenge for us. If we can limit him, I think we might go all right. I think Magnay's probably going to be one of the better ones who's going to probably restrict McGee as well. I think he'll match up quite well. So that'll be very challenging and interesting matchup. Bannon's been really solid. He's been a bit of a walking double-double. Like, he not crazy, but always around that 10 and 10 sort of marking points and rebounds. So it's going to be interesting. I think the Hawks are going to have to shoot the ball better than they have, defend really well. It's not going to be like an easy game, though. I don't think we're just going to walk in and take this one. And it's never easy getting over the emotion of seeing a banner being raised and then being able to switch on. They're going to have that emotion early and maybe start well, but they've got to keep it up through the whole game. Tassie have shown in both of their games they're going to be tough to beat. They had a close loss and then a close win. So I just think the key to the game is obviously going to be slowing down Bryce Hamilton, and obviously it's going to be interesting to see who guards Harvey for them, because Harvey could have a game. So that's going to be really, really interesting.
Mate, he looks locked for an MVP caliber year this year. He was in contention for it a few years ago. And look, obviously you don't want him to, it would be a massive achievement if he does win it, but then also at the same time, our players aren't doing enough if he's got to carry that load. You know, I expect him to average around 20. That would be perfect for him because he's used to averaging around 20, but he shouldn't be averaging more than that. He shouldn't be hitting 30, 40 points a game because he's got to carry that load. But dare I say it, if he is up there in contention, the Hawks are up there in contention, man, because it is really exciting times for this club. I'm rocked. I'm ready to go. We're all rocked and ready to go.
But I think the key, I want to say one other key to this game is it could be the Magnay-McGee matchup. Who can sort of stay out of foul trouble? Because I think Tassie lack a little depth at that 5 position. Yeah. So if he gets in trouble, Magnay, then McGee could really dominate. So that could be a way of the Hawks potentially getting this one, as if we can get Magnay in foul trouble early. But he does seem to play quite well against the Hawks. He's Froling's kryptonite. I remember that. So it'll be very interesting to see how we can go in this game. But I hope I'm confident. I won't say hope. I know that the WEC is going to be absolutely rocking. It's going to be a packed crowd. Let's hope the Hawks can start the season well. Let's hope today they can get a win to stop this little 2-game losing streak they've had, get some confidence up, play well, and come in next Saturday, 8 p.m. at the WEC, and let's get the win. Start 1-0.
We'll see you there, Hawks fans, and remember, fly you Hawks,
fly high.
Hang out wild and free.